Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Starcastic Remarks alongside my brother Chris, actually here in person to my right. My name is Ryan Chambers. We are the official Dallas Stars podcast of THPN. The promo code for our sponsor is THPN. There it is, DraftKings Sportsbook with their Pick 6 option there. We'd appreciate it if you go and use that the next time you go and use their services. And as always, if you're listening on YouTube, watching on YouTube live or afterwards, we'd appreciate a like and a subscribe if you would kindly do so. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers here on the channel. Dallas Stars lose in the very first game of the 2025 playoffs to the Colorado Avalanche by a final score of 5-1. Lots of things to talk about here, Chris, today, but initial thoughts.
Shocker. It's a 8-game losing streak in the season and 8-game game one of the first round or game one of any round playoff loss as well. So yeah, a lot of losing streaks.
I'm seeing a lot of doom and gloom still from tonight's game, and you can absolutely be upset with the loss today, but compared to what I was expecting, this was a complete 180 in the way that the team played, in my personal opinion. I love the way that they played tonight.
Yeah, they talked about flipping the switch, and they did flip the switch. This is the best team that we've seen, the best game that we've seen the Stars play in probably almost 2 months. It's the first time that the Stars lose the game when they coulda, shoulda, woulda won it. You know, for the past 2 months, it's been Stars won when they shouldn't have. And this is the first time we've seen where they lost when they coulda, shoulda, woulda. I wouldn't say for sure they should have, but I mean, 2 lucky bounces and in the first 2 periods, and especially after big momentum shifts from the Stars, if one of those Stars goals goes in, I mean, it could be a whole different story. So it's at least uplifting to see the Stars playing good hockey, but yeah, losing here and then the way they lost as well does still sting.
Zach told us on our family group chat that his hope meter went from 12% to 30%.
Right.
If you were at 12% tonight, where are you at right now?
Yeah, 30 sounds pretty accurate because you played a good game and you lost, which is like what we said in our preview. That's what can happen. Like if the Stars are playing good, this is still a hard grinding series that they're going to have to play. And it was. So I agree with that. My hope meter is up from 12 to 30. But the main thing that concerns me in this series is that MacKenzie Blackwood just beat Jake Oettinger in the first game. And when you talked about what were the biggest advantages the Stars had, probably goaltending is the number one you would say. And I'm not saying Otter did anything wrong in this game. He played fine. He played totally good enough to win. But MacKenzie Blackwood was a difference maker in this game the way that Jake Oettinger wasn't.
Well, okay, so I do want to jump on to that a little bit because that's obviously the big storyline coming out of tonight is the Stars fans are going to feel like this was a lost game that they should have won, right? For me, that's literally it. The Stars got goalied. They got absolutely goalied. I personally believe that if we go and look at several different sources across the internet, whether that be X from some of the Stars personalities, or we go and check out Evolving Hockey or Money Puck or one of the analytical groups, I would bet that a majority of those people / sites would have the high danger chances in favor of Dallas.
They do. And that's for sure something to be happy about, but especially on the Mason Marchment chance before Colorado's third goal that kind of sealed the deal. That's as grade A chance can get. Right in front of the net, nobody around you, wide open shot. And yeah, it's a great save, but he shot into his torso. There was so much net that Mason Marchment missed. So yeah, you can take some solace in the fact that you got good chances, but I'm more worried about the fact that they weren't able to put them in. So that's something to be concerned about, especially from your depth players, which is another area where the Stars are supposed to be better at. And Colorado got a goal from a guy who doesn't score a lot of goals. Dallas did not.
Well, so here's the way that I look at it with the goals here tonight as well, Chris, is the fact that Dallas, you were absolutely right in the fact that they did not capitalize on their chances. They didn't do that, and that's something that is gonna have to change going into game 2, right? And obviously, yeah, McKenzie Blackwood showed that if he can see it and if he can track it, he can save it.
Yep.
So what I'm getting at, and then I'll talk about Colorado stuff, is you have to make it hard for him.
Right.
You have to get traffic. I mean, what's the one goal Dallas?
Yeah, the only goal that went in was the deflection.
But it was a deflection tip, and the thing about that too is it wasn't just a great deflection, but when the puck hit the ice, it changed direction when it hit the ice, almost like it had a rivet in the ice in order to go behind it. So that's just something that the Stars are going to have to do, and they have the ability to do that. And I mean, I think that if you do that, it fixes a lot of that issues.
To me, it's not just that though. You got to have better shots. I mean, the Mason Marchment chance, if that's just a 5% better shot, it's in the back of the net.
And you're talking about in terms of actually hitting the net, not necessarily the spots and chances on the ice, right?
I mean, you got to hit the net in better spots is what I'm saying.
Okay. And then for the Avs chances, okay, here's the thing. The first one, I still don't know if that's a no goal or a goal. And the way that they phrased it is calling the ice stance.
Yeah.
So they called it a goal, so therefore it stayed a goal. They couldn't go back on it. I think you can make an argument either way. How did you see it?
Yeah, I think it's probably a goal. I mean, the only reason the dude's foot is in a kicking motion is because he's getting knocked to the ice. So what it really reminded me of is that crazy Antoine Roussel goal where he's stopping behind the net and hit his skate blade, goes over the net, off the back of the goaltender and in. And that one was ultimately allowed too. And it's just like, if it's a wild thing like that, I feel like you can't say it's a kicking motion. And like, because if you hit the guy's skate and push it, and then it pushes the puck in the net, that's going to be a goal. So it was totally a weird one, and it was a fluke, and it looks like he just bicycle kicks it into the top corner. And just the optics are crazy, but I think that's a hard one to overturn.
And then the second one was just that's hockey. You know how you hear it all the time from the players and the coaches when a fluke thing happens like that. That's just hockey. That goal, the second goal, was definition of that's hockey. It's a McKinnon shot. Yes, it's McKinnon, but it barely grazes off the jersey of Ilya Lyubushkin, and it just happens to not just go to the net, but spin.
Yeah,
and it changes it completely, throws him off, and throws Oettinger off, and it just happens to go between his pad and his arm, and that's another one that you can't really blame.
It's not a high skill play from McKinnon at all, but honestly, you can't blame him. You're right. Not blaming him is the right thing. But, I mean, it is a savable puck. Like, when you see it, he kind of frees with a hand, gets it going up and down. That's because it's fluttering and it's an off speed, but it's like getting thrown a curveball. Like, you kind of freak out a little bit. But that's just another situation where, no, it's not Ottinger's fault. You lost, but he wasn't a difference maker for the Stars in the same way that McKenzie Blackwood was. And that's just the best way I can put it. McKenzie Blackwood was a reason the Avs won. Oettinger wasn't the reason the Stars lost per se, but he obviously wasn't the reason that they won.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yes. The third goal is the only one that I would absolutely 100% criticize on the Stars. I mean, it was a 4-on-2 going the opposite way. And it's also after you've made the game 2-1 as well. So that was on the 4-on-2. Someone got back to make it a 4-on-3, but it was still too late. And the other thing I don't know if you realized, did you see who made the play on that rush chance for Colorado?
Manson.
It was the 2 D-men.
Yeah.
It was Manson, and then it was Devon Taves who goes all the way down backdoor on Oettinger in order to make it 3-1.
And that's a great counterattack. And the only reason they're able to do that is because the Stars are pressing to try and get that last goal too. And then that opens up for that. And it wasn't great back checking from the Stars either, though, honestly. And it's because they were at the end of the shift. But Johnson, I think, has got to be able to get back in there and try to break something up. But yeah.
And then the fourth goal is just whatever. Empty net. Fifth goal is like, okay, whatever. So I know I'm trying to downplay the 5-1 win for Colorado, but
copium.
Yes, exactly. But the thing is my hope meter for this team just shot through the roof, in my opinion. Like
beyond 30%,
way beyond. I'm talking, and the thing is this also follows the narrative, and it feels a lot worse because it's 8 in a row game ones in the playoffs,
and
it's
an
8 in a row
for the Stars this
for
season.
going back into the regular season. I think they're gonna win the next 3 games. That's my personal opinion. I think they're gonna go, and I know that's saying a lot, but they were the better team tonight.
If they played the exact same way, if both teams play the exact same way next game, Stars can absolutely win. I mean, that's true. I think
this is one of those games you look at, and if you sim it 10 times, Stars win 9 out of 10 times, in my personal opinion.
I don't think 9, but it would, to me, it'd be more 50-50. Yeah, I think both teams played well, which is good for the Stars who've been playing like crap for the last 7 games.
I highly disagree with you on the whole 50-50 thing. Maybe 60-40 or 70-30, but not. I was extremely impressed with the way that the Stars played. Now, and now let's talk more about the negatives here tonight. The Stars on the power play did not take advantage more so than they needed to, especially here in the playoffs when you're playing against a Colorado team. You've got to be able to take care of your opportunities and get more off of your opportunities on the power play. And what I'm specifically talking about is that's where they got their best chances, was on the power play. But you mentioned it. The shots that they had, the chances that they had, they didn't put them away.
I guess. I mean, they were 1 for 3, and all the 3 power plays look good. So I'm not really worried about the power play. I thought it looked really good. I thought the timeout
what I'm saying
on the 3rd power play was a great call.
Yes,
because then Harley gets to be on the ice for the full 2 minutes and gets the deflection to get the goal. So I didn't mind the power play at all. I thought it was good.
Well, yes, I agree with you too. But what I'm saying is like, if your power play is, I thought they were dominant on the power play. Honestly, I thought that for most of it, like the first minute of the last power play, I was like, but like for a majority of it, they were dominating the Colorado Avalanche on the power play, and that's when you really need to take advantage of what you've got going good for you. And I think that's where, the Stars are going to look at, and they're going to say, man, if we had just gotten a couple of extra goals on the power play.
I'm just more worried about no 5-on-5 goals. I mean, that seems like a bigger deal to me, and no goals from your depth. And honestly, the 4th line didn't look like it was loads better than the Avs 4th line tonight. I mean, and they are. They should be a lot better. They should be able to create offense. They didn't create a lot of offense, I felt like.
On the opposite side of special teams, the penalty kill was life-altering today. I mean, the Avalanche get a 5-on-3 right off the bat in the first period, and then McKinnon calls his own penalty. He gets a double minor. Okay, first off,
the other one.
First off, yes, that should have been a power play. Yes, absolutely. Roby Hintz deserved to get a double minor on that play. Nathan McKinnon should not be calling his own power plays.
Right.
I don't think I personally did not see a hand up during.
No, there wasn't, and it was the play. You can tell that because the play was called dead when the Avs had the puck after the Stars had gone the other way. So it wasn't called immediately on the ice. But that one was a different one. That wasn't for the 5-on-3. That was later on in the game.
That was the double minor.
Right. That was the double minor later. But yeah, that's a bad look from the refs, I think. I mean, if Sam Steele gets hit in the face the same way, he's not getting that call. I mean, there's no debating that.
So, really?
Yeah.
You really don't. I mean, if Sam Steele had that happen to him, it should have been a double minor as well.
It should have been.
Steele, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Steele going to the refs and complaining about it would not have gotten the Stars a double minor. Okay, I get you now. I understand.
And that's a bad look for the NHL. I mean, we shouldn't be having people cry to the refs when they get hit in the face, and then the refs cave to that because they're a superstar player, which is what happened. I mean, we're both saying, yes, it was a penalty. It should have been called. But if the guy complaining to the ref wasn't named Nathan McKinnon, that call would not have been made. That's just a fact.
Yeah. Now, the thing that was nice about the penalty kill tonight is that even though the refs were kind of stupid in how they managed the game, the 5-on-3 right off the bat in game 1, especially after you make a freaking terrible call on the McCarr thing.
That one's tough too, because they call the softer trip and then they get the second trip.
The second one, the second one was, but then you watch for it and I don't know. I can't be critical of the rest because I'm not in their shoes. I don't know
We
it.
can be
but
critical of the refs.
but like they should be able to look at that and just see that's a ridiculous call. Like McCarr got tripped and like was the stick there? Yes, but he
No.
stumbled, got his balance, and he had his balance and then fell like 2 seconds later.
No, the second one you got a call. I mean, that was a trip.
Well, and I showed you right after the third period, but there was another podcast that was making fun of Marchment and
Which
him,
Marchment does die.
which I agree.
But McCarr also did.
Yes,
so.
and he responded with he tweeted with a GIF or a GIF or whatever, and
But either way,
McCarr did I did the same thing with McCarr.
Either way, that's not why you lost the game tonight. You lost the game because you only scored
that
one
was well, and that was the point to the positive that I was talking about. You didn't let the refs dictate the outcome of the game because of some stupid calls that they made, and that's just what you have to do. Refs are going to make bad calls sometimes. You can't let that affect the outcome of the game in that aspect. Moving forward, what do you want to see from the Stars in Game 2? Because for me, I loved the way that they played from all three periods. I thought the second period was by far their best in my opinion, especially after the power play, and then the goal was just completely against the flow of play.
The first goal and the third goal were right after the Stars had their best opportunities. For sure.
And so it's just a matter of is it Murphy's Law and Stars are going to get their own chances going that way, or what do you want to see from the Dallas Stars in the next game?
It's execution, like I was saying. I mean, the key one that I keep going back to is the Marchment one. You were on the doorstep, and it was a fine shot. It wasn't a good enough shot. I mean, and if Blackwell's going to play that good, which I think is shocking to a lot of people, but if he is going to play that good, you've got to be better at executing, and you've got to get in front of him a little more, which is like what you said. You got to look for more deflections. You got to maybe bump a little bit in the crease every once in a while. Maybe allow yourself to get pushed in. So yeah, that's what it's going to take. Better shots, more traffic.
What did you think of the defense, the D-core overall? Because obviously that's the weakness of this team. I didn't hate it, but you still saw throughout the game that there were plays that were made where they were having trouble getting out of their own zone. And it has not been as egregious as it's been the last 2 months, but it was still there.
It was a lot better. It was still there for sure. Yeah, I'm a little worried about the Bishop Petrovic pairing. I mean, they were -2 on the night. One of those was that late goal after the empty netter, but they still just looked like they were getting exposed. Every time they hopped onto the ice, the McKinnon line was put onto the ice, pretty much every single time. And they looked a little squirrely. I love the hits that Bishop was making, but that pairing is obviously going to get a little bit exposed here.
That I'm glad you talked about the hitting, because that's something that I actually really liked about the Dallas Stars tonight. This was one of the most physical games I think I've seen them play.
Yeah, they matched it.
This might be the most physical game I think I've seen from the Stars this season.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So honestly, I think if you run this back, you do the exact same thing that you did in today's game on Monday, and you make it a little bit tougher for Blackwood in terms of his vision and deflections and just general chaoticness and nasty, greasy goals.
Yep.
I think you win the game. Yeah, I honestly believe they were the better team today. They were absolutely the better team today, and I firmly 100% believe that if they had not gotten GOALI'D, they would have won this game.
I think they were the better team today. And like I said, you can play the exact same game tomorrow, and you're going to have a really solid chance of winning it. So if it wasn't for those, there were 2 very lucky goals, and then the first 2 periods for the Avs, and that was the big difference for me.
Yep. And I did like the way the Stars responded in a lot of instances after they did score a goal too.
Yeah, and we're right on schedule. We're supposed to lose game 1, so no problem.
So I hated the way that it started. I hate the fact that they put themselves in penalty trouble, whether it was them or whether it was the refs making a bad call. Either way, but they they came ready, and my hope meter has gone from like, if we're taking Zach's hope percentage, it's gone from like 12 to like 70 or 75%.
Yeah,
I'm not joking. This is the best I've seen this team, and they got goalie tonight.
Yeah, I think that is number one. They got goalie mostly, and they got unlucky. Those are the two big difference makers in this game. But otherwise, these two teams are neck and neck, I feel like.
Okay, so what else do we need to be talking about?
Got to execute, and you got to get in Blackwood's face. I mean, the fact that McKenzie Blackwood played that well is shocking to, I think, everybody. I mean, his first playoff game, and he's able to play that good. I mean, it's shades of Jake Oettinger in the Calgary
2022.
series.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's what it looked like. So if he can continue to play like that, then the Avs are going to win.
Yeah, they're and the Stars are gonna have a really big issue in winning the series if Blackwood continues playing like that.
And the other thing is that Otter has to match it. Like we've talked about, he hasn't been the reason that the Stars have lost any of the series the last 2 years, but he hasn't also been a big difference maker, and he wasn't tonight. He stopped the ones he should have, and some fluky ones went in, and he wasn't able to stop the third one. And yeah, he's not the problem, but he needs to be the solution. That's what needs to happen. We need to see Otter step up and be one of the Stars' best players, and he hasn't been.
I was on the THPN stream live watching the game with a couple of other people, and they were asking the question, you know, who's the player that has to be the best player for either team, and I think Bailey for the Avs side, she said that Nathan McKinnon or Cale McCarr, one of the two, has to be the best.
Yeah.
For Dallas, it has to be Otter. It has to be. I mean,
with
there's
Miro,
no question.
Yeah,
with no Miro, with no Robo, especially, that's really gonna hurt. So,
and the Avs, Nathan McKinnon was their best player tonight. So.
Yeah, he was. And it was obvious with the score sheet here tonight. Okay, I was very curious about this because I wanted to point this out before we did biggest winner and biggest loser. I wanted to look at the time on ice when in terms of defensemen, right?
Pretty lopsided.
Extremely lopsided, right? And it was even more lopsided in the first period, right?
Yeah.
We saw Harley with over 10 minutes, and we saw Essa with, I think, like 16 seconds away from 10 minutes in that first period. And I was thinking, holy crap, down the stretch, both of those guys are going to be about 30 minutes.
Yep.
Okay. Harley basically played 27 and a half minutes.
Yeah, if the game didn't end with 3 minutes remaining, you probably see Harley and or Lindell on the ice for a good chunk of that final portion. So they would have both been pretty close to 30. Well, not Lindell. Lindell was a little bit less, but Harley would have been close to 30.
Well, and when they scored their goal, during the Pete DeBoer timeout that he took, he purposely did that because Harley at that point was on a 2-minute shift. Yeah. And when they scored the goal, but he was out there for 3 minutes straight.
Technically a 3-minute shift.
Yeah, there was technically a 3-minute shift with like a TV break and then the timeout, but still 3 minutes straight on the ice. So Harley with 27 and a half, Lindell with 22 exactly, Labushkin with 21 and a half, and then Cece with basically 19 minutes. And then Petrovic actually had, I mean, it's not much, but he had 12 minutes, 4 seconds. Fischl had 11 minutes, 51 seconds. That is not a recipe for winning down the stretch. But right now, for the Stars, it's not about winning out of 7 games. It's winning 1.
Right.
That needs to be the mindset right now. And doing it this way, I think, can work.
Yeah, especially with Miro. He skated at morning skate this time. There's not saying he's going to be back yet, but it's looking like he's closer at least. So really, I think this series is holding out for Miro Heiskanen support. And Harley can play 30 minutes a night for a week, but you probably can't for multiple series. So,
yeah, a lot of good things being talked about here. We got a couple super chats that we've just been neglecting. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, not online. It's harder to see them.
Yeah. Ryan with the $10.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yes, thank you, Ryan. I thought I'd be panicking more, but I'm just not. I don't think it's apathy at all. I think they played very well for a lot of it, got stoned by the opposing net, and got chances. Plus Miro maybe soon.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all the stuff.
Pretty much just said what we talked about there. And yeah, I agree. It's not an apathy because we're happy because the Stars finally are playing Stars hockey again. So that's good. And we have a chance to win the series, and we always lose game 1. So who the heck cares?
Right. I mean, it just follow in the script, right?
Right.
So, and then we also got a $2 super chat from Ardell. Thank you, Ardell. There are positives for the Stars in this game.
Yep.
And I think that's the thing that hurts a little bit more for Stars fans here tonight.
It slipped because they played good enough.
Right. Exactly. It's like, this is the best game we've played in 2 months. I would maybe even say 3 months, honestly. Even during that 7-0-2 stretch that they had, they were winning games because of goaltending. Tonight, they won because they were the better, or
they lost even though
they were the better team. Sorry. Yes. Thank you. And that was the frustrating thing and the law of averages are going to go in our favor. And if we keep playing this way, I like our chances against this team.
I hope so, because the hockey gods do owe us too.
Yes, they do. They, especially in this game here.
And apparently we get to call a penalty at some point later on in the series, but we pocketed that one. We're saving that one for later. McKinnon already used his. What a fool.
Let's talk about a couple of other things here. Jay Mills, 3% missing nils. I'm guessing he's talking about Niels Lundqvist. Is that true? What do you think?
I don't know. I don't know what that means.
I'm guessing he's talking about Niels Lundqvist. I'm not sure.
Niels Lundqvist isn't going to come back. He skated at morning skate before morning skate happened this morning, but he wasn't hardly even using his shoulder.
Yeah,
so
he wasn't.
He's just skating to skate. So he's not coming back.
Now he can become an option if they get far enough, is what Pete DeBoer said.
Even if he does, I don't think you play Niels Lundqvist.
I don't know. If you're running with basically 4 guys over 18 minutes.
Either way, we're going to have to get to the Stanley Cup Finals before we start talking about Niels Lundqvist.
Or the end of the Western Conference. Yes, agreed. Absolutely agreed. Let's see. Zachary here. Can you guys imagine when we get Miro back in, how that changes the team? And missing Robo too. Don't know when he is coming back.
Well, the bigger one is Miro there, because if Miro comes back into this team, then suddenly your bottom pair feels a lot more solid and not as exposed, and you're not going to have to play Harley for 30 minutes a night. Plus, you also get 2 really solid options on your power play to quarterback that. So that's a much bigger one. The forward depth for the Stars can fill in for what Robo brings. It doesn't replace Robo, but they're still the deepest team in the league without Jason Robertson, which is crazy. But not having Miro is really rough, since he's basically a right-handed defenseman for us, and our right side is so weak.
Both books over here. Hey, boss. Ryan, is there a backup goalie worth trying? How could it be worse?
Yeah,
that's not the issue at all. Like Oettinger was not the issue tonight. No. The issue was just a couple of unlucky bounces. That's hockey. And then the one goal that he let in my personal opinion, and I'm not even counting the last one. The third goal was it was just a defensive mess up. Yeah, it was, and it was just not good coverage by the Stars.
And that'll allow me to clarify my Oettinger point. I'm not saying Oettinger did anything wrong in this game. I mean, he played perfectly good enough to win this hockey game. I just want him to be the Stars' best player, which is I think might be needed when you don't have Miro Heiskanen. So that's what I'm saying. I want him to be the best player on the ice, and that wasn't the case tonight. It was McKinnon and Blackwood.
Larry Brown over here. Home ice gone. Now they have to try and win on the road where they've played some of their worst hockey down the stretch. Sorry, but this team was cooked after the Canucks collapse. Okay, so a couple of things there. The home ice gone. Yes, that is true, because you're supposed to hold serve on home ice.
We've thrown home ice away the past 7 times, so who cares?
So that was where I was going to go with that. And now they have to try and win on the road where they've played some of their worst hockey down the stretch. My thing with that is they've been playing bad hockey, whether it was on the road or at home down the stretch.
The team we just saw wasn't the team that played down the stretch.
No, that was not.
Also, honestly, in my opinion, doesn't really matter.
So
they flipped the switch. The switch is flipped. Everything that happened at the end of the regular season doesn't really matter.
So that was the other question I was going to ask you, is the switch that we talked about the last couple of episodes, whether it was the 1 hour episode or even a couple of episodes previous when we were just not really talking about the games and just getting ready for the playoffs. Did they flip the switch? The answer is yes. They absolutely
flipped. They played good enough to win tonight. They just need one extra play, one extra save. They just need a little bit more.
Mato, the Avs looked very average. I agree.
You can say the Avs looked average, but McKinnon and Blackwood looked awesome, which is 100% the case.
But see, even with McKinnon, there were a couple of plays that a couple of different defensemen did really well on Nathan McKinnon on.
And still scored 2 goals and gotten an assist.
Right. Okay.
He was by far the most dangerous player on the ice.
Okay, but again, let's look at the goals that he scored. The second goal, his first goal, the second goal for the Avs was just one of those fluky goals. The fourth one was an empty net goal, and then I'm not sure where he got the assist one on. I don't want to say he wasn't on the ice for the third.
It was on the Lehkonen goal.
So again, the other fluky goal.
Yeah, but still, just play wise, he was their best player. I mean,
but
he had 6 shots on goal tonight. He played. How long did he play? He played 20 minutes as a forward. He was the best player on the ice.
I still thought there were several plays that Cody Ceci had a good play on him. I thought Labushkin had a good play. Essa had a good play on him as well.
A couple of good plays on him, and he still got 6 shots on goal and got 3 points.
I think it was just utter. That's hockey.
I mean,
issues.
It just can't be complete luck whenever he's looking like the best player, has all the stats that show he's played really good, and then got 3 points. So there was a little bit of luck for sure, but he was the best player, and it showed on the score sheet.
And we'll end with this one, and then we'll do biggest winner, biggest loser. Zachary asking, Blackwood gave them good goaltending, but can that be consistent?
That's the big question. And when Otter started doing that in the Calgary series, it was consistent. He played that good for
every single game. Every single game.
So it's absolutely possible McKenzie Blackwood is a playoff goalie, and he didn't know it until he got into his first playoff game. And if he can play that good, the Avs are going to win the series.
Okay, biggest winner, biggest loser here tonight, Chris. Who you got?
I just gave him really high praise, so I'm going to give biggest winner to McKenzie Blackwood. I mean, that was crazy. I did not expect him to outduel Otter so thoroughly in the very first game, and that was the case. I think that's fully script flipped. The big question for me was, can Otter hang on despite the bad Stars defense and steal a couple of games for the Stars? And instead, McKenzie Blackwood stole the game for the Avs.
That's a very good point. And I don't even necessarily think that he needs to seal game 2. I think what's going to be more important is that he goes into Colorado and steals one of those games back, like Blackwood did here.
He's going to have to now. Yeah. You can't be beaten the entire series. That's the bigger deal. So yeah, he got beat in game 1. He just can't be beat the whole series.
And he got beat in the series against Edmonton last year in the Western Conference Finals. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes for the rest of the series.
Again, we're not saying Otter played bad. He just needs to beat the other goalie, which he objectively didn't do tonight.
And yes. And again, I will also say this, and I said that you can go look on the THPN stream, and I even talked about this in the living room out with everybody when we were watching the game. Nathan McKinnon is the best player in the world right now, in my personal opinion. Connor McDavid has had a down year. He still scored over 100 points, but compared to how he's normally so ridiculously dominant, he has not been as dominant, and Nathan McKinnon has. That being said, the 3 points he had here tonight, I don't think are as indicative as how dominant he was here tonight. That's my personal opinion. The real biggest winner is McKenzie Blackwood. He was like, it's not even close. It was McKenzie Blackwood and then everybody else on his team. His team did not play as well in front of him as he did.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, in the playoffs, that's what it takes. Goalies steal games.
And that's why goaltending is the most important position in any sport. Yeah. Biggest loser.
Biggest loser I'm going to give to the bottom pair, Fischl Petrovic. I just didn't like it. Every time it was on the ice, it was scary, and the Avs were trying to take advantage of it. So, I mean, we're going to have to figure something out with that. I don't like Petrovic on that bottom pair. After watching him in Texas all year, when we're already having trouble getting the puck out of our own zone, Petro really struggles with that. He's got one move. It's chip it up the boards. And you saw that every time he had the puck tonight. So it just worries me.
But there's got to be a reason why he was in the game instead of Matt Dumba.
He's 6'4", Matt Dumba's 6 foot. That's the
maybe
reason,
that's true. But
and
but
Matt
but
Dumba
in
isn't playing great either. He's playing better at the end of the season.
yes.
But it's not like he's playing like he's
He's
got
not
a $4
playing-
million contract.
He's not playing to what the Stars need him to be, which is a top 4 defenseman.
Yeah, he hasn't been doing that all year.
He hasn't been doing that all year since he started with Miro Heiskanen on the top pairing. For me, the biggest leader tonight is just execution. I mean, the Stars had numerous opportunities, especially on the power play, and they got goalied. And as much as you can use that as an excuse to say, well, the goalie was just really good tonight.
Yeah.
In the playoffs, when you might only have 3 more games remaining, that doesn't matter. You have to find a way.
It's a better excuse in the regular season when you're going to see a different goalie the next night. You're going to see McKenzie Blackwood again. So
Yeah.
getting goalied is not a good enough excuse. You got to find a way through it.
And now, looking from this side after the game, then before the game, people were saying, "Oh, well, is it going to be McKenzie Blackwood or maybe Wedgwood gets in?" And I was just like, "There's no way that it's not McKenzie Blackwood."
And that's what I'm saying. The script is flipped. It was, can Otter beat the Avs? Now it's, can McKenzie Blackwood stop the Stars?
There we go. Okay, I think that's going to do it for us here tonight. Thank you guys so much for following along with us live. If you have been, if you're listening afterwards, we appreciate it as well. Once again, click like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. It's down below. We'd really appreciate it. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers here before the end of the playoffs, which I hope is longer than the next 3 games,
Yeah,
Chris.
or else we're cooked.
Yep. On social media, follow us at Starcastic R. That's literally anywhere and everywhere at Starcastic R. You can also, if you would like to join the Who Cares Club, it's $5 a month, and it just helps us do what we do here. And we don't put anything behind a paywall here. All of our content is free. But if you would like to join that, the link is down in the description below, as is all of our social media links as well. And I think the last thing I got to do is thank DraftKings Sportsbook, and that promo code once again is THPN. Alongside Chris, my name is Ryan. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. Hope you guys have a fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you guys are listening. And guys, don't worry, there is some hope on the horizon. I really, truly believe it. We'll be back with you guys again on Monday night. Thank you guys so much.